Tul Juran is a young Sangheili scion from Ranello, who was the first noted female warrior commissioned into the service of the swords of Sanghelios. Tul, as the sole daughter of the late Kaidon Tul Juran, served as his captain of the guard and scion to their family's keep. In the absence of her father and older brothers in the Great Schism, Tul was charged with the protection of her younger and only remaining brother, their father's heir apparent as Kaidon. Shipmaster Ertas Vadum approved Tul's appeal and permitted her temporary stay aboard the assault carrier Shadow of Intent in violation of standing patriarchal naval codes. The scion would come to be regarded as a vital member of the ship's company, having engaged in single combat with the prelate during his boarding of Shadow of Intent and aided in the eventual destruction of the Halo installation, commandeered by the Minister of Preparation. Tul was born on Ranello, a Sangheili frontier colony, on January 29, 2535. Most of Juran's brothers were conscripted into the Covenant military during the Human Covenant War, resulting in the deaths of all but 3 of her brothers. In 2553, Ranello was attacked by Zanar pattern light cruiser, Spear of Light, under the command of San Shayum prelate Tem Batek. After destroying Ranello's spaceport and military bastions, the cruiser deployed Jiralhanai infantry to the planet's surface to engage the Sangheili residents. As the Jiralhanai slaughtered Sangheili attempting to stand their ground, Duron worked to aid any Sangheili she could and directed them back to her keep. While Duron led the keep's defense, her father and 2 older brothers led a charge against the prelate and his Jiralhanai, but they were ultimately captured. The prelate and his forces escaped shortly after and left the system. With the disappearance of her father and elder brothers, Duron's younger brother was given the mantle of Kaidon. After the attack, Duron and her brother gathered the bodies of the dead Sangheili to give them a funeral of sorts. 3 days later, the assault carrier Shadow of Intent arrived at the planet, responding to Ranello's distress call. Shipmaster Ertas Vadum and Blademaster Vulsaran landed on the planet's surface and met with Duron and her brother. After learning that the prelate likely captured her father and elder brothers, Duron requested Vadum for passage aboard his carrier and enlistment within his crew to carry out an invoked right of release, a declaration of intent to free her captured family. Despite Soren's objections, Vadum agreed to Duron's request, and the Sangheili returned to Shadow of Intent and departed Ranello. Tem Batek soon attacked Duron, another Sangheili frontier colony. Shadow of Intent received Duron's distress calls and embarked to the planet to aid its residents. Upon arriving at Duran 3 days later, Shadow of Intent engaged Spear of Light over the planet. After a brief battle, Tem and 50 Jiralhanai warriors abandoned Spear of Light in Covenant escape pods and boarded the assault carrier. As the prelate and his warriors attempted to take control of Shadow of Intent, they encountered Duron and a lance of Sangheili rangers, led by the Ungoi ranger Stolt. While the Jiralhanai and Sangheili rangers engaged in a firefight, Tem and several Jiralhanai attempted to make his way to the bridge to kill Vadum and take control of the carrier. Duron, Stolt, and 4 rangers pursued the prelate and caught up with him, just as he was met by Vadum and Soren at the carrier's primary gravity lift. While the rangers and Stolt engaged the Jiralhanai, Duron attacked Tem with her energy lance. As the 2 dueled, Tem revealed to Duron that her father and elder brothers had been killed. The prelate eventually managed to daze Duron and moved to kill her with her own lance, but he was stopped by Vadum. As his Jiralhanai were killed and Tem was outmatched by Vadum, the prelate attempted to flee, but he was knocked unconscious by Soren and Stolt. After Vadum interrogated Tem and the surviving Jiralhanai aboard the ship were killed, the Sangheili learned that the prelate was working with the Minister of Preparation, and the 2 planned to use a superweapon to eradicate the populations of Sanghelios and the core worlds, and eventually dismantle Sangheili society. The crew of Shadow of Intent agreed to send a small team of volunteers to the installation to destroy it, while sending the rest of the crew to Duron. Duron, Vadum, Stolt, and Soren were among those that agreed to carry out the mission. Bringing Tem along with them as a hostage, the small team arrived at the installation in orbit over a rogue planet and embarked to their destination aboard 2 Phantoms. As the dropships traveled towards the installation, the superweapon released an energy pulse that wounded many aboard the Phantoms, including Soren. At this moment, Tem escaped by wounding Stolt and stealing his plasma pistol and tricking Vadam to break his bounds when the Sangheli attacked. Using his armor's thrusters, the prelate left the Phantom for the installation and was followed closely by Duron and Vadam using their own ancillary thruster units. By the time the two arrived at the installation's interior, Tem had been betrayed by the minister, and numerous Yanmei were ordered to execute the prelate. However, Duron arrived and disabled the energy shielding on the minister's anti-gravity chair with her energy lance, allowing Vadam to mortally wound the San Shayum. As the minister fled and the wounded prelate took cover, the two Sangheli battled the Yanmei. As the remaining Yanmei attempted to escape, Duron and Vadam encountered the distraught prelate. Using his anti-gravity belt to levitate, Tem took a satchel of Onscom-pattern plasma grenades and moved to sacrifice himself to destroy the installation's power center. Realizing the prelate's plan, the two Sangheli activated their thrusters and embarked the installation. After the Sangheli were clear of the installation, Tem activated the plasma grenades and destroyed the installation. Following the installation's destruction, Shadow of Intent returned to Duron. Vadam briefed Arbiter Thel Vadam on the events that transpired, and Vadam sought to meet Juran and honor her. Agreeing with Vadam's request, Vadam decided to change the Swords of Sanghelios naval codes to ease the restrictions on female military service.
Pues no soles.